Hi guys, welcome to Extra Talk. Today we have Papimento with us, we have Fabio with us. We're going to have a great discussion. Hi guys.
What's up, man?
Hi, man.
All right, guys, before we start, just some opening remarks from our side. First of all, in the previous Extra Talk, which was hosted by Ajax and Yellen was there, Sahbi were there. There was a remark at the end of the video about Nouri. We were informed that Nouri had a compensation settlement with his family. Everything was clear. We were happy about it. But then yesterday we heard that Van der Sar said that it's not officially yet. So we're still hoping it will be concluded, but we're not there yet. So of course, we all hope this will be done quickly, also for the family. So yeah, stay strong, Nouri, and also for the family, we hope this gets settled quickly. Another thing we want to say is that we want to thank everyone because we reached 1,000 subs on the channel. So we want to thank, of course, I have to thank the people on the channel as well. Papimento, thank you, Ajax, Sahbi, but also all the other people, including you, Fabio, everybody that has been on the channel, everybody showing the love, support. We really appreciate it. We're only growing. The community is getting bigger. We love talking to you guys, discussing about Ajax. So this is what it's all about. So again, thank you so much. And last thing I want to say basically is that last time we spoke about the Champions League, which was hosted by Ajax. So now we're going to talk about the Eredivisie. Today is all about the Eredivisie because the funny thing is, as you guys might know already, we have full score in the Champions League, but we dropped a couple of points already, 9 points to be exactly, in the Eredivisie. So my question today, and what we're going to discuss today is, how is this possible? How can we be so good in the Champions League? You know, I mean, even in the Eredivisie, we're crushing PSV, but we're dropping points against the lesser team. So look, if we reflect back on the Eredivisie, right? We have the international break right now, and we're looking back, we dropped 9 points. Let me start with Fabio. How do you look back at those matches? What's the takeaway for you?
Okay, so first of all, at the start of the season, just after we sadly lost the Schal against PSV, we can't expect, of course, to win every game. But at that point, in that moment, if someone had told us that at this point, at this international break, we would have been top of the table with 8 wins, just three draws and just 1 loss, with almost 40 goals scored and just 2 conceded, we would all have been very happy with that, of course. So my take is that this early part of the season has been quite good, even in the of course, you play in a tournament with a lot of other teams, some not so good, some that are struggling and trying their very best to keep our pace, to stay at our level. So my point is that we could have done slightly better than this, but in my opinion, not so much better. We have been a great run. We have dropped some points, just like a lot of other teams did. So I'm very positive about this start of the season. That's my take for this first 12 games.
Papimento, do you agree? Not really. Look, I do agree that just if you look at it in comparison, like in combination with the Champions League, we should be very happy because, you know, we got full points there. We're number 1, we're going through. And if you can then accept the amount of point lost because we know it was heavy on the starting 11. A lot of games, not a lot of substitutions. So I can see why it's hard to motivate yourself again after a Champions League game. But what bothers me is, first, we didn't reward ourselves enough. I think we played a great first half of the season so far, and just because we weren't able to score, we lost points versus Heracles, Go Ahead. It's not that they were better, it's that we couldn't finish our chances. So I'm gonna say we didn't reward ourselves enough. We could have had maybe 6 points away from PSV. Now it's just, you know, same amount of points. That bothers me. even more, I went to check on if we extrapolate the points till the end of the year, how much points would you have? You would sit on 78 points. I also checked last couple of years, what's the amount of points we need to win. Like in 2021, Ajax had 88 points, PSV 72. So easy win, right? 18-19, before that was Corona, so I'm not going to count that Corona year because it doesn't matter. But before that, we had 18-19, Ajax won the league with 86 points, PSV behind it with 83. And then if we go 17-18, 16-17, 15-16, we see PSV with 83 points, won the league. 16-17, Feyenoord 82 points, and 15-16 PSV with 84 points. So if you want to be safe, let's say, you need to go into the 85 number to really secure that win. So yeah, still bothered a little bit by that.
Yeah. All right. Interesting, by the way, because we have Fabio saying basically, okay, it's the start of the season. We cannot win everything. We still have a very good start of the season. And you're saying, okay, it bothers me a little bit, a couple of games. Of course, you can miss out on a couple of points at the start. But if you look at where we stand right now and we look after 34 games, we won't have those amount of points to become champions. So, okay. I want, by the way, the viewers also to drop some comments on this topic, because I really want to know, or we want to know, what they think of this. I just want to ask Fabio one thing, though, because we have to deep dive on the points that we lost, right? I mean, like you mentioned, we have scored so many goals in the Eredivisie. I think we scored 37 goals, which is on average 3 goals a game. And we only conceded 2 goals, but yet we have missed out on 9 points. And look, again, you can miss out on a couple of points. You cannot have a 100% score. We understand that as well. But why do you think I mean, maybe it's individual, maybe you have to look at them one by one, but in general, why do you think we lost these points? Do you think it's because of the start of the season, because we had to find rhythm, or do you think there are a couple of other reasons involved here?
I think that the reason is not really our fault, let's say. I mean, our fault is that we couldn't finish our chances, but it would have been worse, in my opinion, if we dropped those points because we couldn't play good football. But actually, in all those games we dropped a point in. We were actually pretty good against Go Ahead Eagles and also against Heracles. We were
not against FC Utrecht. We were overclassed against Utrecht. But okay, go.
Fabio, go ahead. Pavimento, wait for your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that we spent the vast majority of the time in the opponent's half of the pitch. We had so many chances. So it's not like we couldn't create chances. We did. We couldn't finish. Plus, sometimes you just find you know, everyone can have a bad day at the office, and when this combines with quite a good day for the opponents, it can be tough. Plus, for example, against the Eagles, we found on our way a goalkeeper who could save basically everything. We hit the post. We were also unlucky, but I would be more worried if we couldn't really, you know, get into the box or reach a nice position to shoot. I would say that for example, the last 2, Pavimento is smiling.
Go ahead.
He's already thinking about what to reply.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I will conclude soon. My point is that yes, we dropped point, but we were also very, very unlucky in those 2 games against Heracles and the Eagles. So I would be more worried if we were bad. We weren't actually so bad, in my opinion, but that's my opinion, of course.
Right. Papi, just before you go, I just want to summarize quickly. Fabio, you're saying the points that we have dropped so far, this is mostly have to do with luck, in your opinion?
Yeah.
A lack of luck in our case.
And he said not finishing the chances, which I agree with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Papi, what do you want to add to that? Because you didn't agree completely, I think, with Fabio.
I think all the games we lost points all have their own story. So if we start with the Twente, I would say it's start of an early. It was early in the season. Not everybody was in form. We got, I think that was around the same time we got trashed by PSV in the Johan Cruijffschaal. So okay, we gave him more time. But if you look at FC Utrecht, they brought a lot of energy in that game, and we struggled. It could have been a different outcome. Let me say it like that. I think Heracles was the game which the first half we had 0 chances or shots on goal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Juan, or was that against?
It took a very long time before we really had chances. And honestly, Pasveer saved us that game because they got a few chances in the second half and they could have scored, should have scored.
And what keeps like Go Ahead, I would say we had the upper hand, but we couldn't finish soon enough in the first half. But it's not like Ajax doesn't have a stat now that in the second half, if they didn't score in the first half, they can turn it around. So we have to be concerned about that. Second, I start thinking about like, we didn't have these low scoring games. I know our defense is super great, but we didn't have games where we had so much trouble scoring. And I was thinking, what's the difference between that 18, 19 and now? The only thing I can think about is we had a different tactic, more through the middle. And we had some guns like with free kicks, like Ziyech and Schöne that could create out of nothing a goal, you know? And maybe that's where we're lacking in this season a little bit, the specialties of certain players.
Well, okay, so you're bringing in two very interesting things that I want to touch upon further. But I want to ask Fabio if he wants to react on you about something before I ask the question, or whether I can go.
No, you can go. I agree.
All right, so just to touch upon the last part, I think we do have, I mean, Lasse Schöne was very critical in the set pieces. I totally agree with you. This is something that sometimes we tend to forget. But we do have somebody that we got in the summer who has basically almost the same level, which is Berghuis. But the thing that you see is Berghuis doesn't have that, how do you call it? I'm sorry? No. I want to say he's not that up in the hierarchy that he takes all the free kicks, because you see that Tadic takes them. If there's a penalty, he takes it. If there's a free kick left, because they're both lefties, he takes it more than Berghuis does. On the right side, it's another topic, because most of them are taken, I think, by Gravenberg right now. But I think Berghuis has that capability, but he's not getting those chances because Tadic is claiming them at that moment. The other thing I wanted to say is that, yeah, we play differently. We used to overload in the middle in the 18-19 seasons. Now, what you tend to see is that also because we're playing with Haller and Alvarez in the center, that we try to look for the players out wide. So the build-up starts a lot with Blind and Mazraoui, or it goes to eventually through the midfielders to Antony and Tadic. And then you see a lot of crosses coming in, or a lot of combinations coming from the wide areas into the middle. So we have switched a little bit our play. And this brings me to another point. And this is something that I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I want to ask you this because of the style that we're playing. So points that we dropped.
I wanted to add something to that as well, but okay, keep going.
Yeah, the point that I wanted to make is that now we're playing a little bit against teams that are changing their tactics purely in the league when they face Ajax. So what you see, and it started with Twente, but Twente had a defensive kind of play, but at the same time, they were aggressive. What you saw with Utrecht, the same. Defensive, but aggressive, looking for transition. And honestly, we lost that game only at the end, and they had literally, I think, 1 or 2 shots on target, and that's it. So we were also, like Fabio said, we were a little bit unlucky there. Then if you move, in my opinion, to, I think, Heracles was also very defensive. Of course, I have to say they have the advantage of the AstroTurf. It was very bad weather as well, so it was very difficult there. And if we move to Go Ahead, I think Go Ahead stands a little bit differently than the others, in my opinion, because we had 29 shots. We should have scored. They played defensively, but still we had enough chances to score. And so I think you should analyze them differently. But you see that if we play teams that are defensive and a little bit aggressive as well, we tend to have a little bit problems with that at the moment.
And we need to find an answer, Juan. We need to find an answer for teams that play this way, because the roadmap is laid out now for other teams to play this style of football against us. So, you know, we need to try something different as well. It doesn't mean that we always have to be in the box to score. Try other things.
Yeah. Fabio, do you want to say or comment about what I said, or Papimento?
Yes, no, I agree with you both. The problem is that right now the let's say the lesser teams know that to cause trouble to us, they have to be very defensive and very aggressive. That is just what the Eagles and also Heracles did. The teams like us that play in a very open, let's say open play football, very aggressive with with a lot of pace, tend to play even better if we find opponents that play a similar type of football. Let's say if you play PSV, if you play Feyenoord, they can try to attack, they can try to impose their games, and those are the games we usually try to we usually find our mojo. Let's say we tend to play better. If we struggle very much against the teams that just sit deep, park the bus, even if I don't like this expression, but that's what the Eagles did for most of the time, and they just try to hit you in the counter. I agree with Papimento. We need to find a solution, because we won't always find PSV or Feyenoord. We will find or even more teams that just try to defend until the end. So we need to find a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And look, to go further on that, because you guys are saying we have to find a solution. So there are a couple of things here, a couple of ingredients. So we looked at how the team plays. When I listened to all the times that we lost points, what Ten Hag says after the match, one of the things that keeps coming back is that we have to be, that we have to start with full energy. And he made a comment once about Gravenberg, for instance. He made also about Antony, for instance. You know that some players, they don't bring the same intensity when we play in the Champions League like when we play in the league. Do you guys think? I mean, it's easy, of course, to highlight players that don't bring in what you want, and they're young players, so we have to take that into consideration as well. But is there something you can do about this, in your opinion?
Who starts?
Papimento, you first.
Oh, Papimento? Oh, sorry. Yes, of course you can. I mean, look, if you don't have the same intensity, it means that you're not taking the game seriously, because you don't have the 100% focus. It means that the quality bench that you have, you could use it sometimes. And that's exactly what I expect. If Antony is not up to par, you put somebody else. But it's also up to the substitutions to start showing their quality, because they're coming in and they're not showing their added value yet. So is it because they're getting not enough minutes in the first 11 to get to a certain match fitness, or is it that their quality is dropping and they're not in form? It's hard to say.
Yeah, because Fabio, I want to ask you something. I want to go further on what Papimento just touched upon. So he brought earlier in the talk, he brought a stat, right? And this stat is known now in the Eredivisie. So far in those 12 games, if we go into the halftime break with 0-0, we lose points. So this can mean a couple of things, right? This can mean, of course, we're not able to change stuff to win the points or win a game after the first half, has ended. You can also argue that the players that come in the second half that we subbed in are not bringing something fresh to the team or extra quality to the team. Or do you think I'm going a little bit too far with this?
No, I agree. The fact is that, when you come from a 4-0 win at against the Borussia in the Champions League, or when you come back from a triumph in Portugal against the Sporting, it can be not so easy to be fully motivated if you face, let's say, Heracles or the Eagles. But that's not entirely the case for me. The problem is that we have had a couple of injuries in some key positions, like Kudus and Klassen. Those two players were usually the players who could take the lead for us. They are in Kudus is very, let's say, impreventable. He can add this. Yeah, unpredictable. Yeah, sorry. He can bring the spark that maybe some other player can't. While, for example, Klassen is very useful inside the box. He can find he's a maestro in finding the right position to shoot. So those players are just coming back from their injury. So even if they are being subbed on in the second half, they can be at the moment not at the 100%. So I agree. The subs used in this period are not bringing up the quality we need. The one I would expect more is Neres, but that in his case the problem is that he's not playing enough to have the right match fitness to bring that extra quality when he swaps with Antony. Then one last point I want to say is that those players you mentioned before, like Gravenberg and Antony, they play differently from the Champions League and in the Eredivisie, also with because of a clear different motivation, but also because, in my opinion, in the Champions League you can have more freedom to play. Let's say the teams we face are more like us. They try to attack and they leave a lot of space sometimes, so they can attack those spaces. Against Heracles or against the Eagles, Antony always had 2 or 3 men who marked him, and then the same with the other wingers. So it can be difficult because of the style of play and the philosophy of our opponents is very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Pimento, you want to add something on this?
Yeah, I do think in the Champions League we tend to get more space, so Ajax has it easier. But look, the map is drawn for opponents to know how to play Ajax now, so you need to figure out a way. I think Antony still in those matches that we lost points, he brought a lot of energy and tried to do his work. Maybe not everything worked, but he tried at least. You can't be 100% every time, but I do remember a moment where it was in the first half and Antony could have scored for us, but didn't, and we lost points afterwards, so
Heracles, I think.
Yeah, I think he wanted to give a final touch to the ball before shooting, and I was like, just take it in one shot. But
just like a lot of Brazilian players.
Yeah, but those are the moments. If you set us in front at that moment in the game, it's going to be a totally different game. So
yeah,
we need to be so much more clinical with our chances. We tend at Ajax to think, okay, I missed this chance, but we will get 20 more. That's not always going to be the case. And we saw that against Go Ahead, how hard it was. So, yeah, and our substitutes, Juan. Our substitutes need to step up because the first 11 cannot do it alone. So they need to get more time from Ten Hag. I agree with those comments, but I also agree that when they are given a chance, they should take it and show why they shouldn't be on the bench anymore.
Yeah, so this is the last segment of this talk, right? Because you're touching upon it, and I wanted to go there as well. So last week, I believe on We Talk, we put a statement, 5 statements, true or false. And one of the statements that we had, because this was something that we felt was the case, and one of the statements was, this team is too dependent on Antony. So it was more reflecting on one player. And prior to this talk, what I went to do is I went to check the stats of Antony in the Champions League, and I compared it with the Eredivisie. And the funny thing is, he has, I think, 5 assists in the Champions League after 4 games. we played 12 games in the Eredivisie, and I was looking at the Eredivisie top charts, and the first player I saw there was Tadic. And I was like, okay. And then I went a little bit down and I saw, oh, Berghuis is right up there. But then I was looking, I couldn't find Antony anywhere. And then I went somewhere else to check, and Antony has exactly 0 assists so far in the Eredivisie. So this is a little bit strange to me. But wait, it gets more interesting than this before you react, because then I went to check the games that we lost points to, right? And I started also to look at the starting 11. So how do we start? Because we know in the Champions League how we start. We start always almost the same. We know, everybody knows that watches Ajax what the starting 11 is. So I looked at the games that we lost points, and I know it's very hard to make that conclusion, but let me just say that if we don't start with Antony, Berghuis, Mazraoui, especially that right side, because Berghuis always goes to the right to create overload, and our right side has been very good this season. If we don't play either one of those 3 players, those are the games that we lost points. Is that a stat that makes sense, or is it more like, oh, this is a coincidence? What do you think? Pavimento, you can react first.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's been clear to everyone that the link-up play on the right side has been critical for us in our success. So yes, maybe Tadic and Berghuis and all these players have more stats than the right side players. But I want to say that every pre-assist or every dangerous moment or every start of an attack starts from the right side. I must also compliment Blind, because sometimes his passes are formidable going up front, but those are usually in the Champions League and not against a Go Ahead or a Heracles, because they're positioned so defensively. He's not finding the openings from the left back position. So on the left back, you see that there's less speed, less link up, and mostly everything is being built up from the right and then eventually coming to the left. So yeah,
okay.
I mean,
Right.
I stats doesn't mean so much for me, Juan, just specifically for this reason.
All right, so we're looking at ways, right, that we can improve and ways that we can change if it doesn't go like we want in the first half. One of the things I was wondering, right, I mean, we have been, in the start, we have been very critical about Alvarez, but then in January, till this point, nobody's criticizing this player anymore. Everybody knows how important he is. The thing I'm wondering, right, where do you guys stand in terms of, look, we know he's an important player, but should we play Alvarez against the Heracles, against the Go Ahead Eagles of this league? Is that important? Because you're touching upon the fact that we need something else when we play those defensive teams. Do we then need to play Alvarez? Because how many chances do we concede? We don't concede many chances if we play Heracles, Go Ahead, etc. And we create chances, but maybe you can be more unpredictable if you have a football player on the midfield next to Gravenberg or next to somebody else, you know? What do you guys think about that? Fabio?
This is a tricky point, because of course if you play Alvarez even against lesser teams, you'll always wonder if you really need that. But then if you don't play Alvarez against a lesser team and they somehow put a lot of pressure on you, then you start wondering, okay, so I need to start Alvarez also against Heracles. It's funny, Fabio, because yeah.
But Fabio, the thing is, if they put pressure on you, then it would be beneficial to have a player that can play out of this pressure. Alvarez doesn't do that. Alvarez is good for a transition off the ball for us. But if we want to be out of this pressure, maybe, you know, I'm thinking about back, and I know we don't have that player anymore, but we used to have Lasse Schöne and Frenkie Jong in the center, pivot on the midfield. One of the key strength of them was, if there was a pressure on us, we could still play out of this pressure. With Alvarez, we don't do that. And moreover, we're playing on a very, very small, how do you call it, pitch, because we're playing on the opponent's half. So how much do we need Alvarez? I'm just asking this question.
Yeah, I agree with you, because back in the days we had, you know, Frenkie de Jong, who could win back the ball in front of our defense and bring it forward. Just now Alvarez doesn't do that. So maybe we should start thinking about someone else. The one I think could do this work for us is Gravenberg. I don't know if because he's a guy who could occupy the same position and do this job for us. The other used to play even a little more forward, so I don't think they are the solution. If we have to, if we are to drop Alvarez for a couple of games, I'd play Gravenberg in that position and play Klaassen and Berghuis in the other two positions.
It's a dangerous statement I'm making, because I remember we played a game without Alvarez and we look very vulnerable. So there's a flip side to this coin. So if you go there, then defensively we're going to be a bit weaker.
But Juan, I also want to add to this, okay? Because I saw the interview of Ten Hag, and he said, if you want to break these kind of teams that play so defensively, you have to walk more and run more.
Off the ball, yeah.
Yeah, off the ball, exactly. But he keeps Daley Blind on the pitch for 90 minutes. So isn't it better than to get Blind into a more central role, let him take Alvarez's position against the Heracles or a Go Ahead, and put Tagliafico in that can get those yards and get more link-up play with Tadic from the left, so you can attack from both sides, you know?
Okay, concluding remarks. I just want to add this one to the mix, and then it's done for now. Thank you guys already. But okay, so we're thinking about, you made a comment, Papimento, earlier as well, so I want to touch upon it. The thing is, there is a chicken and egg story. I know it's a Dutch expression, but I just want to say it. Look, we have a bench that is very good. We have very good players there. I mean, we have Tagliafico there. We have Klaassen there. We have so many good players there. Talents, Kudus, Darami, you name it. But the thing is, so far, when they come in, they have not proven, in my opinion, that they're better than the starting 11. They're not really, I mean, they're close. We know in quality level, they're close to the first 11, but they haven't knocked on the door and make it hard for Ten Hag to say, you know what, maybe next time I should start him over him. Because right now, those 11 players that we start with in the Champions League, I mean, no Ajax fan has doubts that these should be the starting 11. This is the strongest squad that we have. So how much can you say this is because Ten Hag is not rotating enough, so these players don't get enough chances, they're out of rhythm? And how much can you say, no, these players have to show more than they're doing right now? Where do you stand in this? Shortly, I'll go with Fabio first and then Papimento.
I think the fact that those benched players are not showing are not claiming they should be a starter is a combination of lack of match fitness and lack of motivation consequent to the lack of match fitness and the lack of minutes they are playing. Because Ten Hag tends to be very conservative at the moment. He says, I found my strongest starting 11 and I'm keeping fielding the same starting 11. This results in the fact that the starters can start to be tired after a lot of games in a row. And
that's true. I want to add to that because we haven't even touched upon that, but just a quick remark on this. Berghuis couldn't play the last game because he had slight injury, but the slight injury is because he has been playing a lot of games. Timber didn't go with the Dutch national squad because, as they say, he has had a lot of games. He has to physically recuperate right now in those 2 weeks. So you're right.
Not rotating enough.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. Some right, some wrong, but not rotating enough. That's the point.
Okay. Papimento?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I do think the subs need to really step it up also. When you get the chance, I want to see the hunger, that you should be in the first 11. Especially from Neres, I don't always see that. Kudus hasn't been in his best form, so we haven't seen the Kudus we know he can be. But if you look more at the youth players, Taylor, for instance, hasn't had any game in Ajax 1. And he is the kind of player that should replace an Alvarez, right? So also, we haven't seen him, so I cannot judge him. But if you see a young player like that just sitting on the bench, never get any chances, how do you expect him to get better? He won't. And we had enough chances or enough games where we were 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, where these guys could have had more than just 10 minutes in a game. If he does that, he could have had maybe a fitter team. Going forward, I just expect we don't lose points needlessly. We start finding a problem, a solution for our lack of scoring against defensive teams, and the subs need to be brought in, but also need to show it, because we can't wait for them anymore.